Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something truly fascinating, a deeply scholarly exploration of one of the most profound ancient Vedic texts. We are going to unpack the Yoga Vashistha Maharamayana, specifically zooming right in on Canto 1, verse 11, which is also known as the Sutra Patanika Varnanam. Now, you might be thinking, that's a lot of dense scripture. But stick with me. We're going to transform this single, highly cryptic verse from thousands of years ago into a brilliantly applicable modern psychological tool that you can actually use today. To ground our exploration, let's take a look right at the historical artifact itself. This is page 2 of the original Sanskrit text of the Maharamayana. Seeing the actual physical script just kind of anchors us, right? It establishes the rigorous research-based foundation of what we're doing today. We aren't just giving you a high-level summary, we're directly engaging with the root source, peeling back the layers of this incredible philosophical commentary word by word. To really digest this, we're going to look at it through 4 distinct lenses. Layer 1 is the artifact, focusing on the literal and linguistic meaning. Layer 2 dives into the metaphysical philosophy. Layer 3 looks at the modern psychological mirror. And finally, Layer 4 covers practical life action. Let's start right at the foundation with Layer 1, the artifact, where we demystify the literal and linguistic roots of the verse. Okay, so what does verse 11 actually say? In simple English, it essentially translates to, I surrender to Ramachandra, the embodiment of full bliss, who out of compassion took a physical form through Maya to rescue humanity drowning in the quagmire of attachment through the nectar of dialogue. On the surface, sure, it describes a divine surrender. The ultimate truth takes a compassionate physical form to lift us out of our worldly traps using a sacred conversation. But trust me, the specific words chosen here by the author are incredibly deliberate. Let's break a few of them down. What really stands out here is the term mohapanke. It literally translates to the quagmire of attachment. Think about that imagery for a second. Moha means illusion or emotional attachment, and panke means mud or mire. The scripture isn't just saying we have some unhealthy attachments. It's saying we are literally, physically, and mentally stuck in thick mud. And just like real mud, the more you struggle blindly without the right guidance, the deeper you sink. Then we have another critical term, maya diopatakea. This illustrates just a beautiful paradox. It means the absolute formless reality actually takes a physical form, a kaya or body, through maya, which is the illusionary fabric of the universe itself. So think of it this way. The divine deliberately uses the very illusion of the physical world to step into our world, purely to guide humanity out of that same illusion. Pretty wild, right? Let's unpack a few more of these stunning Sanskrit terms, because the etymology is just fascinating. We have Purnananda Vibhava, which is the embodiment of absolute full bliss. Then Kurunyat Swen, meaning to act out of deep, selfless compassion. Shastramrit Jaladi Mam is an absolutely brilliant compound word. It translates to this ocean, or Jaladi, of the nectar, amrita, of scripture, Shastra. We also see Svajanata Hrit Ketu, the beacon that awakens the lotus of the heart of the people, using Amshu Dirgayai, meaning with long rays of wisdom. Rurjanam or Nrijanam simply refers to humanity, and Anavaratam means to do all of this continuously and incessantly. And the verse builds on this with some really dynamic action words. Nimagnam means drowning or deeply immersed, referring back to us stuck in that mud of attachment. Then we get this fascinating interplay. Avashyantar Vashistam means entering inwardly into the state of Vasistha, the ultimate guru. But simultaneously, we have Bahinape Kalayan Vishyam, or Shishyabhavam, meaning outwardly displaying the attitude of a questioning disciple. Vitene means expanded or spread. Yasamvadan means who through dialogue. And finally, Ramachandran Prapaje, I surrender to Ramachandra. This whole sequence shows an incredible dynamic flow of teaching that requires both inner mastery and outer humility. Moving right along to Layer 2, the metaphysical, where we dive into the deep philosophy and spirit of the text. This verse sets up an absolutely brilliant contrast. On one side, you've got the inner truth, Brahman, the ultimate reality, described as purna bliss, which is completely formless and absolute. But on the other side, you have the outer form, the incarnation of God navigating through Maya. The core philosophy here is that the formless absolute must don the cloak of Maya, the cloak of illusion, to communicate with us on our level. It literally uses the tool of illusion to break our illusion.
And you know, this perfectly illustrates how the guru and the disciple are completely inseparable. Remember the words we just defined? The divine enters the highly elevated inner state of the guru, Vasistha, while outwardly maintaining the curious, seeking state of a disciple. This proves that true wisdom requires both receiving and guiding at the same time. The inner and outer truths aren't opposed to each other at all. They form a continuous, infinite loop of learning.
So, what is the ultimate spiritual significance here? It really boils down to 4 active steps. First, total surrender to that higher truth. Second, awakening the lotus of the heart, which means consciously making your inner self receptive to light and wisdom. Third, acknowledging the very real quagmire of attachment, because let's face it, you absolutely cannot escape the mud until you admit you're stuck in it. And fourth, utilizing the spiritual power of dialogue. Liberation in this tradition isn't found in silent, isolated meditation alone. It's found in the active, nectar-like conversation of the scriptures. All right, let's look at layer 3, the mirror. How does all of this translate into our modern context? Remember moha pumpkin, that sticky quagmire of attachment described thousands of years ago? Well, modern psychologists actually have a term for this today: cognitive distortions. These are the negative mental loops, the biases, and the rigid attachments to our own anxieties that keep us stuck and suffering. The ancient trap of attachment is the exact same psychological mire that therapists are helping people untangle every single day.
It gets better. Think about the spiritual awakening of the lotus of the heart. Translated into modern science, this is literally an ancient metaphor for neuroplasticity, the brain's physical ability to rewire itself. When the verse talks about using the long rays of wisdom to bloom the closed lotus, it's essentially talking about introducing new frameworks of self-knowledge to physically form new neural pathways in your brain, breaking you out of your habitual, muddy thinking. So how exactly do we achieve this mental rewiring? Through dialogue. The dynamic interplay of the guru and disciple states bridges our external curiosity, asking questions, with a deep internal motivation to seek the truth. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy relies heavily on this exact same dialogic nature. By asking the right, probing questions, we challenge our distortions. It turns out conversation really is the fastest path to mental rewiring. Which brings us to layer 4, the action. Let's ground this in some practical life teachings you can walk away with. So what are the actionable takeaways for us today? First off, humility. Adopt the humility to learn. Even the divine outwardly played the role of a questioning disciple. Second, expand your compassion, acting out of karunya, willingly stepping into the mud to help others. Third, adopt healthy dialogue to navigate life's challenges, treating conversation as a nectar-like tool for growth, not a battleground to win an argument. Fourth, trust your inner guide. And fifth, actively and deliberately practice distancing yourself from the mire of worldly attachments. The source text heavily emphasizes the power of vichara, which is inquiry and dialogue. This whole process of trusting your inner guide and questioning your attachments, it isn't a one-time event that you just check off a list. It is a lifelong daily practice of inquiry. That constant questioning is literally the tool for your mental and spiritual liberation. So I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question today. Are you going to remain stuck in the modern quagmire of your own attachments and cognitive distortions? Or will you use the active conversational nectar of this ancient knowledge to rewire your mind and truly awaken the lotus of your heart? On behalf of the Vedmata AI family, if you found our presentation informative, please share our video as widely as possible so that the authentic knowledge of Indian Vedic texts can reach the masses. Come, let us all participate in this yagya of knowledge. Har har.